What's up, folks? Maximilian here, and we're going to talk about the best fighting game of 2013. Now, in comparison to previous years, 2013 was slightly dry in the release of fighting games. Early on in the year, there was not that much to look forward to outside of Injustice and Divekick, but some stuff eventually showed up down the way with Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate coming out, as well as Killer Instinct finally making its debut on Xbox One. But what I really want to discuss is between these games, which are the ones that you should pay attention to the most, and which are the few that we should definitely highlight from my personal fighting games of 2013. I specifically wanted this to be talking about new release games, not games that expand on something before, so we're going to leave DOA 5U out of here, as well as some other ones. So, let's specifically talk about the three big ones, and in my opinion, the three biggest fighting games of 2013 was Divekick, Killer Instinct, and Injustice. Specifically, I wanted Divekick to be included on this list for a very good reason. It solves one of the biggest problems with fighting games, and its accessibility. Jumping into Divekick with its ease of access to controls and a freaking ridiculous looking characters is pretty much the easiest thing you could possibly do. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of the most enjoyable fighting game experiences you can possibly have with a friend sitting next to you, and the online runs pretty damn well. It even has extensive story modes, but the biggest issue I think with the game is that it's related around the extremely niche fighting game community, and the community itself, while it seems very big to guys like us, ends up being very small in the scale of everything, and a lot of people don't understand the jokes that are associated with a lot of the characters. It was kind of built by us for us, though, and I think that's one of the most special things about it, outside of its pretty freaking fantastic gameplay. It's also ridiculously cheap. Check it out on PlayStation Network, soon to be PlayStation 4, and I think it's also on PC as well, and Xbox 360. The next one definitely deserves mention because it kind of came out of nowhere in the middle of the year, was developed in less than a year, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's Killer Instinct. From day one, I knew Killer Instinct was something special. When I got my hands on the game, already being a fan of the previous Killer Instinct games, the biggest issue is that can they make a decent fighting game out of Killer Instinct? Because the old Killer Instinct games, as much as I love them, are not decent competitive fighting games. They are amazing to play, they have a crazy unique combo system, but actually fighting a person is rather ridiculous in the old KIs. And shockingly, the new Killer Instinct alleviates this more than anything. I don't want to do another review of KI, but you guys understand what this game brought to the table. Amazing online play, character balance and gameplay that is pretty damn good in comparison to most other fighting games, although it does only have a 6-character roster and is not a complete fighting game at the moment, as it is a platform that is being updated frequently. And last but not least is the biggest AAA game on this list. The big one of 2013 was Injustice. I wanted to include JoJo's on here as well, but that's actually getting a full retail release in the States next year, or this year in 2014, so we'll wait on that. But Injustice definitely deserves a bit of praise. Huge roster, ton of characters, lots of lore, and a DC fighting game that we've been waiting for so damn long finally made its appearance, and I still think Injustice took everyone by surprise. Sure, in the long run, the competitive nature of this game kind of died down, and the way the balancing was handled was a little awkward, and certain things were either tackled too late or too early, but if you actually look at Injustice as a game, I think it really holds up. For the amount of stuff that you can do between the new versions, the DLC, all the different characters, the costumes, the story modes, the training modes, everything, it's really a full package. Sure, these things aren't maybe as focused and detailed as I might like them to be, with certain training mode segments actually ignoring key features and mechanics of the game, but it's there. It actually supports a lot of what people want in a fighting game, not just the fact that it's a competitive versus game. It has everything else, and that's why it sold so damn much. Easily, Injustice was the biggest fighting game of 2013 as a sales perspective, and I hope that we see more eventually really soon from the dudes at NetherRealm, because especially after an upgrade from Mortal Kombat 9 using the same engine in Injustice, this game feels a lot better in my opinion than games like MK, and it definitely is better overall. If I was to summarize, and we're actually going to move forward to the top two from these, I will personally pick Injustice and Killer Instinct. Nothing against Divekick, but these two games kind of have this huge staple and this huge upbringing next to them, and both of them, in my opinion, really got a lot of playtime out of myself. I think that's the thing I want to focus on, is how much time I spent playing each of these new fighting games in 2013, and I played more Injustice last year than I did all of Marvel vs. Capcom. I actually legitimately enjoyed playing Injustice. and I think that serves a lot to the game because I had never played a NetherRealm game before, and Injustice stood up. Sure, it took some time to make adjustments, sure, it took a long time to get used to the crazy wonkiness of the system and how I very much was used to Capcom fighting games. Oh my god, projectiles are overheads and all this crazy stuff that it just blew my mind how the game was designed. But you get used to it, and it feels like a much different fighting game than you're used to playing. The biggest issue with Injustice, I honestly feel, besides the fact that it is a full package, is the gameplay. Killer Instinct in itself has a pretty big advantage in this situation. I think Killer Instinct feels dramatically good, like awkwardly good. To play this game, it feels like something of classic Capcom games, classic 2D Capcom games. It has a certain sort of crispness to when you control it, and the way the characters move, respond, is just bar none. It's really impressive. And my biggest issue with Injustice is quite that. A lot of the moves feel delayed, and a lot of the game can feel very sluggish along with online play. And that's one of the biggest negatives with Injustice as well, is the fact that the online play stacked with that, not having great netcode, leads to a pretty bad experience online. You kind of got to play local people, and the connection can be pretty good. And this is where Killer Instinct kind of takes the cake, with online play and overall fun factor. But the issue is that with Killer Instinct, there's only a limited amount. You only have these 6 characters to mess with right now, and there's no other variancies between them. In Injustice, all your characters have these unique traits, and you have a huge roster of all these dudes and girls from all these comic books that we've been waiting for so long. And that's one of the biggest traits of Injustice as a game, is that its legacy of characters will support it, and there's all these people that did support it because they bought the game. I personally feel that it takes a long time to get into Injustice, that the breaking period takes a couple of days to figure out what am I even doing in this game. But once you get the hang of it, it's deeply enjoyable, and there are some characters that I absolutely love in this game that are just so much fun to play that I miss playing Injustice. I just don't look forward to jumping online anytime soon. So between these two games, what we have is Injustice, the full package, story mode, everything you would want in a fighting game. Decent online, not that great though, and overall feels pretty good but takes a while to get used to how to play it. But then you have Killer Instinct, a limited package, a game that has just come out and is built on a platform that will eventually expand into something big, but at the moment, in the first couple of months, it is very small. There is an extensive training mode, it has an awesome dojo mode that is probably one of the greatest in all fighting games, literally teaching you things outside of just a game like Killer Instinct, and I can give it praise. But the problem is that it's so limited on anything else. If you are a person that is looking for the actual competitive fight, going 1 versus 1 against an opponent, Killer Instinct fits that perfectly. But if there's anything else, there's really not much for you here. Sure, playing the survival mode is fun, and sure, a story mode is coming relatively soon, but at the moment, and during the period of which we're reviewing this stuff, which is for 2013, Killer Instinct appears to be very bare bones in comparison to the larger package of Injustice. So here's where I am torn, and here's where my decision will be made. In my heart, I enjoy playing Killer Instinct more because of its extremely responsive online play, and characters that I have a huge personal attachment towards. Although Injustice does have deep gameplay, it has interesting competitive elements, as well as a roster of characters that is unforgettable. And it looks pretty damn cool too, with all the stage transitions and everything. Not to mention the story mode, full arcade mode, everything else that you would possibly want in a fighting game package, and a ridiculous amount of unlockables. My heart tells me to choose Killer Instinct for the fighting game of 2013, but my thought process in looking at the full package gives my personal recommendation for the fighting game of 2013 to Injustice. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and if you are looking at purchasing any of these fighting games, I got good news for you guys. If you already have an Xbox One, Killer Instinct is only $20 for the full game. Injustice, the complete Ultimate Pack, can range in pricing, but you can get it generally between $50 to $60 for any of the next generation, including PS4, and current generation consoles. And Divekick is extremely cheap, available on almost everything. All these games are worth purchasing. You'll get a ton of time out of them, especially for some that'll be updated in the future. And it was actually not a bad year for fighting games. I was kind of worried about 2013, and I was like, man, I might have to do something different on YouTube. Lo and behold, 2013 ended up being an amazing year for fighting games. Between EVO, all the new stuff that came out, and all the stuff that we were able to get excited for. And 2014 looks even better, because there is a lot more on the horizon, and a lot of stuff that we do not know about yet. And E3 can only bring something amazing And I certainly hope so. But stay tuned, folks, and be sure to subscribe because the next video focusing on this Game of the Year stuff is actually going to talk about the top fighting games of 2014 and the hypest ones we get to look forward to. My name is Maximilian, and I will see you dudes next time.